Welcome to US Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: inside America's most notorious jail, an Australian is teaching murderers meditation. US and Turkish diplomats de-escalate tensions after Turkish drone shot down. Americans are too turned off by Washington to even complain. Why is India so worried about Sikh separatist calls for Khalistan? Genetic tester 23andMe's hacked data on Jewish users offered for sale online. Inside America's most notorious jail, an Australian is teaching murderers meditation. The Sydney Morning Herald. Former journalist Joe Jarvis has found purpose teaching meditation to inmates at Rikers Island, one of America's most notorious jails. In her previous career, Jarvis had grown disillusioned with journalism, which she described as a series of repetitive problems. The meditation teacher believes that teaching incarcerated individuals to meditate can help to heal trauma and reduce recidivism rates. So far, she has taught meditation to 100 inmates, helping them to find peace and calmness in an otherwise chaotic and violent environment. Jarvis hopes to expand her program and bring meditation teachers to jails and prisons across the US, and potentially even in her home country of Australia. She believes that providing inmates with the tools to self-reflect and manage stress can lead to better outcomes upon release and a more peaceful environment within correctional facilities. US and Turkish diplomats de-escalate tensions after Turkish drone shot down. ABC. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has spoken to Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan after U.S. forces in Syria shot down an armed Turkish drone. Blinken highlighted the need for the two countries to coordinate and deconflict their activities as they share the common objective of defeating terrorist threats. Turkey confirmed the incident but assigned no blame, saying the drone was lost due to different technical evaluations with third parties on the ground. Turkey lists the YPG as a terrorist organization and considers it indistinguishable from the PKK, which has fought an insurgency against the country since 1984. The United States and European Union deem the PKK as terrorists but not the YPG. Americans are too turned off by Washington to even complain. Japan Times. Many Americans feel cynical about the federal government after the recent chaos in the House of Representatives. Whitney Smith, a registered independent, tries to stay engaged in civic life but was disheartened by the events of the past week. Why is India so worried about Sikh separatist calls for Khalistan? CNN. The history of overseas Sikh separatism has been thrust back into the spotlight following Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's allegations that the Indian state may have been involved in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, an Indian-born Canadian national. Nijjar was accused by India of being behind a banned militant group that sought to radicalize the Sikh community across the world in support of Khalistan, a separate Sikh homeland. Trudeau's assassination claim has inflamed relations with New Delhi, with India fiercely denying the allegation. The issue of Sikh separatism has largely been dormant in recent years, but there have been renewed calls for separatism in Punjab following sporadic violence and targeted killings. However, while some members of the Sikh community support the idea of Khalistan, security officials have warned that it is mostly a fringe movement. The recent tensions between India and Canada highlight a growing disconnect between the Indian government and the Sikh diaspora, with many seeking justice for past human rights abuses committed against the community. Genetic tester 23andMe's hacked data on Jewish users offered for sale online. Washington Post. A hacker is attempting to sell records containing personal information of customers of genetic testing company 23andMe, including names, locations, and ethnicities. The hacker is specifically targeting customers with Jewish ancestry. The leak appears to have been carried out using a technique called credential stuffing, in which the hacker uses username and password combinations obtained from breaches at other companies to gain access to 23andMe accounts. The data does not include genomic details, but does include usernames, regional locations, profile photos, and birth years. 23andMe has reported the incident to law enforcement and is urging users to change their passwords and enable two-factor authentication. The data could potentially cover more than half of 23andMe's 14 million customers. Oregon seeks $27 million for dam repair it says resulted in mass death of Pacific lamprey fish. The Toronto Star. The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife is seeking over $27 million in damages over dam repairs they say killed over 500,000 Pacific lamprey fish, which are a protected species in Oregon. The department claims that recent repairs to Winchester Dam resulted in the death of at least 550,000 juvenile Pacific lamprey, which are an important part of local ecosystems and of cultural significance to Native American tribes in the region. The damages claim was filed against the Winchester Water Control District, along with Terra Firma and DOWL, the companies contracted for dam repairs and fish salvage operations. US is pushing Russia toward using nuclear weapons by arming Ukraine, Belarus leader says. CNN. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has claimed that by arming Ukraine, the US is pushing Russia toward using nuclear weapons. Lukashenko stated that if a missile were to strike Russian territory, Moscow would have to respond. He also suggested that tensions between the countries could lead to Russia revoking the ratification of a treaty banning nuclear tests. Lukashenko's comments came after Russian President Vladimir Putin said it was possible to revoke the treaty. Lukashenko also commented on the uncertain fate of U.S. aid for Ukraine, suggesting that a Ukrainian victory on the battlefield could boost U.S. President Joe Biden's approval rating. 2 teens indicted on murder, battery charges in fatal hit-and-run of bicyclist captured on video. The Toronto Star. 2 teenagers in Las Vegas have been indicted and charged as adults with murder and auto theft after recording a hit-and-run incident in which they targeted and fatally struck a bicyclist. The teenagers, who were 17 and 16 at the time, were tied to at least 3 hit-and-run incidents on the morning of August 14. The indictment includes charges of murder, attempted murder, battery, residential burglary, and possession of a stolen vehicle. Both teenagers are currently in custody without bail. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your trusted observer from the 6 Degrees world, here to bring you the latest news and insights. Today, we covered a range of stories from around the globe. We started with the inspiring story of Joe Jarvis, an Australian teaching meditation to inmates in one of America's most notorious jails, Rikers Island. By providing incarcerated individuals with the tools to self-reflect and manage stress, Jarvis believes she can help heal trauma and reduce recidivism rates. Her work showcases the power of meditation and its potential to create a more peaceful environment within correctional facilities. In international relations, tensions between the US and Turkey were de-escalated after a Turkish drone was shot down by US forces in Syria. Secretary of State Antony Blinken emphasized the need for coordination and deconfliction between the 2 countries in their common goal of defeating terrorist threats. The incident highlighted the complex dynamics in the region and the challenges of navigating relationships between allies. Meanwhile, many Americans have become disenchanted with their federal government, as recent chaos in the House of Representatives has left them feeling cynical. The events of the past week have left citizens like Whitney Smith disheartened, reflecting a broader sentiment of frustration and disillusionment with the political system. Moving to India, concerns over Sikh separatism have resurfaced following Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's allegations of Indian state involvement in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, an Indian-born Canadian national. While some members of the Sikh community support the idea of Khalistan, security officials have warned that it remains a fringe movement. The tensions between India and Canada highlight a growing disconnect between the Indian government and the Sikh diaspora. In the realm of cybersecurity, genetic testing company 23andMe has reported a data breach, with a hacker attempting to sell personal information of customers, particularly those with Jewish ancestry. The incident underscores the importance of robust security measures and the need for users to take precautions to protect their personal information. On the environmental front, the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife is seeking damages over dam repairs that resulted in the death of over 500,000 Pacific lamprey fish, a protected species in Oregon. The case highlights the delicate balance between infrastructure development and environmental conservation, as well as the cultural significance of these fish to Native American tribes in the region. In geopolitics, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has claimed that the US arming Ukraine could push Russia towards using nuclear weapons. Lukashenko's comments came amidst rising tensions between the countries, raising concerns about the potential escalation of conflict and the implications for global security. Lastly, in a tragic incident, 2 teenagers in Las Vegas have been indicted on murder and battery charges after recording a hit-and-run incident in which they targeted and fatally struck a bicyclist. The case serves as a reminder of the consequences of reckless actions and the need for accountability. These stories highlight the diverse and complex issues facing our world today. From the power of meditation to geopolitical tensions, each story provides a unique lens through which we can better understand our global landscape. Now, I turn to you, my esteemed audience. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any questions or perspectives to share? Let's engage in a lively discussion and continue to explore the intricacies of our ever-changing world. Thank you for joining me today, and remember, in the 6 Degrees world, there is always more to discover and discuss. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.